What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. Water is wet and RPS members are shipping as usual. Our NBA content has been on fire since the beginning of the season. I kicked off the week by shipping a WFBBC seat on FanDuel using a low-owned Isaiah Livers recommended on the Premium Final Countdown show.
I hope he comes off the bench because I know for a fact they love this kid. They're going to give him run no matter what. They're probably going to push him, and he's $3,100.
Our premium content comes through big time, whether it's our up to lock shows, heat maps, core plays, or playbook. Join us today so you can start shipping too. I wasn't the only one shipping a seat last week. Our guy Locks secured a Draftkings NBA Live Final seat as well. AP's core plays from Sunday helped a bunch of members win too. Junior hit for $3,000, while Nick Story shipped for over $15K. Steve Boynton used our core plays and playbook to make a late swap that won him $3,000 in NBA. And Punisher used the NBA heat map to ship $100,000 on DraftKings. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video as well. Keep the good mojo going. Our NFL dominance continued into week 8 as well with some big wins. D-Hops shipped for $4K on FanDuel. Ejocam won $5K. And Dirty Deeds 30 hit for $7,500. Some of our best screenshots aren't necessarily the huge scores. Bankroll building is a big part of becoming successful, and we love to see the good ROI hits too. Cusplove illustrated this perfectly, turning $2 into $800, while Wes turned $18 into $2,500 on DraftKings, and Jalapeno turned $198 into a monster $77K. His great pizza brought the great mojo in Cincinnati. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
All right, it's the cash show. That's what we do. We talk cash here. And we got Mangone, who's a little bit sleepy. And we got, I am too. And we got Hoop, who has the most energy today. But Hoop's not happy because he's got to go clean up leaves. On the other hand, Tambo wins another ton of money. I can't call him Nadesify anymore. He is officially Austin after his big hit last night. RPS just continues to sit up there among the leaderboard boys. Mangone, it is truly amazing the run that this place is on since it has started. What is it? What are we, about 3 years now? I feel like the heater has not stopped. It might have stopped for like 3 months. And now we're back on the heater again, collectively. Good morning, Mangone.
Morning. I don't think it's 3 years. I think we're two
and a half.
Maybe it's 2.5. Not yet. I think it's close to 2.
Yeah, it's like
probably
2.5.
Yeah,
we'll go 2.5. So we've been on the heater for a little more than 2 years of the 2.5. It's a pretty good start. We need to wake up too, Mango. Get some coffee or some meth or something, man.
I can't do the coffee yet because I go to the gym after, so I got to save the pre-workout. So we're gonna power through. We'll be fine.
Oh, you don't drink coffee before you go to the gym?
No, I drink pre-workout, which I know JSU, he doesn't watch the cash show, so we're good, but he said it's a bad idea. And I don't know. It's a very tasty flavor. It's like a strawberry lemonade, and I absolutely love it now. So I can't.
Horrible idea. You should drink coffee in the morning.
Well, I drink coffee later on if I need to, but it definitely helps. Holden. I'll say this: you will lift more than you normally do if you would like to.
Hoop, save us from this awful conversation that I got us into. Good morning.
The pre-workout stuff's dangerous, man.
Huh?
Pre-workout stuff's dangerous. I know
it is dangerous.
I know a few guys that have run into heart issues by taking that stuff every morning.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say, at least I do know the one that I'm taking is one that my friend did a lot of research on. Like he's researched them all and he knows like a lot about them. So we'll see. I mean, I've only taken it for like a month or two. So it's probably like maybe a month and a half now or so. So I don't know. I like it.
I'm old school. I'm with Holden. I slam a cup of coffee before I enter the gym, and I'm still dead tired, so it really doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't at this point. You either get all hyped up in the morning. We need to wake up though, Mangone. No, you're yawning. You're getting me to yawn. Hoop's wide awake. Hoop, when have you been up? Like 6 in the morning?
6. I got I've talked about it a ton. I just got the awful school schedule with the kids. My daughter gets on the bus at like 6:50. My son doesn't get on the bus till 8:40. So I'm up and at it and tired. And, you get to that point where you're just so tired where it just feels normal. So like when you're super tired, it's just your normal feeling. And that's kind of where I'm at nowadays.
It's a miserable feeling though. Like I'm surprised you're not more miserable. It's a miserable feeling.
But I'm a little bit ahead of you guys. It's 11 where I'm at. You guys are still in the morning grind.
Yeah, we're in the 3 in this. Well, I only got him to go to school. I mean, once in a blue moon, so I get to sleep in. I get, the first 5 years I didn't sleep. That sucked. All right, enough bitching and moaning. Let's just do the cash show. Let's try and wake up between now and the end of the show here.
The good thing though is for all of us, we get to talk about fantasy sports for a living. So I mean, it's
the difference.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting?
It's not all bad.
I just went into an office building for like the first time in years. They had a trick or treat thing there, a 3-level trick or treat thing there, and they had like an HR department. They had all these inspirational things on the wall, like "you can do it" or achievement with some little catchy phrase under it. And I'm saying to myself, what a horrible place to work would be with other people in an office. So let's just
I did it for a while. It's not fun.
Oh, Mangone, have you ever worked in an office?
Yeah, that was my first job. I sold truck navigation software.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Truck navigation software. How'd that work out?
It was the first job out of college. I did do a bunch of internships. I did the internship grind. I worked at Quest Diagnostics. I did an internship there. I did another one at like this business place that was in Jersey. Huh. I probably did another one before that, but I did all the internship grinds for business.
As far as the truck job goes, could you just have like maps on your phone and would it have done the same thing?
Probably. I mean, it's not that.
You guys are ripping off truckers.
There is no like worse feeling though.
It was one of those things where like on the back end, like what you can do, and Holden, you're gonna regret asking this question. Like
he'll just cut you off here.
Like if you had the software, you can like change like the route for the person on the back end, and then it would shoot it over to be like, hey, like you're delivering this Coca-Cola product over here now instead. So there's some little bonus.
Hoop, that was actually a really good story. That's why I didn't cut him off. Other people tell stories.
You ask these questions. Yeah. Truck navigation is your forte, huh?
It's my wheelhouse.
I will say though, there's nothing more miserable than working in an office 5 days a week with the same people. That's why, like, if you've ever worked in an office, you have to watch, what is it, Office Space? Like, it's just the best movie, and it's just so true. Everything in there is so true. You just think of that feeling like walking in like the break room or the lunch room, and you're going to run into someone you don't want to fucking talk to. So then you have to fake do this bullshit small talk, and you hate it. And the person you're talking to absolutely hates it. It is a miserable existence.
How often do people microwave fish in an office? How often did they do that?
Oh, that's bad.
Because that makes me want to kill people.
Yeah, the bathroom stuff's bad too. Like you go in there, dude's just dropping a bomb in there. I mean, it's
horrible.
It sucks.
The best for the parties, right? Where like you're like, well, I don't have to work, but you're like, I also have to hang out with like Al from accounting or like Michaela from collections, and like I don't want to hang out with them.
Why do you think I don't go to the RPS party? That's all this is. It's just one big office party, man. I don't want to talk with you. I don't want to have to see you guys. You live 10 minutes from me, Mangone. I've seen you one time. I mean, it makes so much sense.
It is true. Holden, I was at In-N-Out near your house late last night.
Where were you?
I was at the In-N-Out.
Oh, that's not. You think I live somewhere and I don't. Like I'm 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're further than that. I've actually figured out that you're closer to the Snooze than the In-N-Out.
I am right at the Snooze.
Yeah, when I drove to Snooze, I saw the apartments. I was like, Holden is lurking somewhere around here.
Hoop. I've said this, and I don't think it's going to happen. I need the red carpet rolled out for me. I need a legitimate red carpet. I need a nicer hotel room than the rest of the guys, or a house.
We can arrange that this year.
If that's going to happen because you guys have won so much money, then I'm definitely coming out. But
we'll get you on the private. We'll get you on the private jet. We'll find the local
I don't need
airport.
a private jet.
We'll get you.
Jet.
Well, we could get a 3-for-1. You, Mangone, DC could all fly out together.
Actually, yeah. If you guys keep winning like you're winning, Mangone, you got to come with me though. We gotta force this thing for the private jet.
It's now Tambo. Tambo's the guy
yeah,
now.
Fuck that. Tambo's paying. But Canadian money, he's won $161,000 last night, but it's really 37 American dollars.
But no taxes. So he's no taxes.
Those dudes, and seriously, the American dollars were so much more. He's
printed. Actually, Tambo's the guy. Tambo's the guy that he's surpassed all of us now. So Tambo is the new guy.
He's very close to not getting a congratulations until he hits a $250,000. He's very close to that. It's every week with this guy. Every week.
Multiple sports too. I mean, he's hitting the PGA, NFL, NBA, which he's not even really into NBA, but he just used the content and printed. It's you love to see
amazing. All right. There's a football show we need.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Let's get into that. And then we'll continue with, we probably won't. We'll just leave right when the show is over so we can go do other things. You got Leaf duty. Mangone's got to get to the gym. I don't know what I'm going to do, but who cares? Let's get to quarterback this week. Cash show. So I feel like your favorite quarterback this year has been Geno Smith, Hoop. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder at 5.8 on DraftKings, if that's where your eyes go to first this week, or is there somewhere else that we can go in cash? Because really the last 3 weeks, he hasn't hit 20 DK points yet. He's 7.5 on FanDuel. Is Geno Smith in the cash pool?
In the cash pool. And I mean, obviously you got Josh Allen back on this slate. So, ideally you want to play Josh Allen, but just going through this so far, I don't know if it's going to be a Josh Allen week because I want some of these running backs. We don't have cheap wide receivers. Yes, we have cheap tight ends, but we have that basically every week. I just don't know if Josh Allen is viable at 8.5K. I think you probably have to come down into the, upper fives, and there's a few options in there. Now if a ton of value opens up and it's easy to get Josh Allen, then sure, I'll play Josh Allen. But as it stands now, I don't think I can get there. The options are Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith. I think a lot of people probably lean Aaron Rodgers. I'm a little more nervous. I mean, the matchup's great against Detroit, don't get me wrong, but this Packers team, it's not good. And Aaron Rodgers does not appear to be super interested. So I think I'd probably lean Geno over Aaron Rodgers for cash games at this point. Other options, if you want to come down, Trevor Lawrence at 5.2K. I don't hate that either. I mean, that's a little more savings. You're saving another $600-700. The floor is probably a little lower on him than the other guys, but man, at 5.2K, you're just hoping to get by with 15, 16, 17, 18 points. That's probably it. So, if I could get to Allen, if some value emerges out of nowhere this week and it's easy to get to Josh Allen, yeah, sure. The next group, it's Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, and Trevor Lawrence for me. And I think out of that group, I prefer Geno. Just really not tied to anything this week at the quarterback position. Those guys all seem similar, but I am a little more nervous on Aaron Rodgers than I think most people are, and the projections are as well.
I mean, this is amazing. It's almost like a fire up anytime you see the Lions on the schedule, and we're all sitting here worried about Aaron Rodgers. And I do wonder how much is on him and how much is on the line and the lack of talent. But you do think it's on him more than anything else?
I think it's just a combination of everything. It's just not a good situation. I don't know. And he's listed. He's going to play, I'm sure.
He's going to play,
listed questionable. Yeah, thumb thing. I'm just more nervous about this team. He just looks disinterested, and he doesn't have the weapons, obviously. I think I'd probably just go Geno if deciding between those two.
Okay. Let's hear your pool here, Mangone. What do you think? Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts on Rodgers right now?
Yeah, we start with Rodgers. I think he's in play, but I'm not dying to get them. So I do think, I just know this Packers team, when they're up 10-0 to start off the game, it's establishing. It just is they're gonna do that, and it's easy to do. So that's one thing to think a little bit about there. With Rodgers, I think he's fine. Not someone that's just gonna be a plug into your lineups and hit the lock button on. He'll be in the conversation, and that's that. Geno Smith at 5.8, I think he's in the conversation as well. Something that you can look to go to. Arizona's defense has played a lot better. It is on the road for Geno, but I do think this is a pretty good game to target. We know the total is pretty high, right? It's one of the higher ones on the slate at 50.5, so can't completely ignore it. If you can't get all the way up to Josh Allen, I mean, Herbert wouldn't be the worst idea to get up to if you just naturally have some value and you have some guys that you feel kind of locked into, where it's just like, well, I got a lot of money to work with. So that's something to think about. I would rather just grab Josh Allen at 8.5 if I could. And I'm planning on trying to grab Josh Allen at this point. I mean, if I grab Josh Allen and I grab like a 2.5K tight end and like a 5K defense, which you could certainly go about that route. I don't think it's a problem. And I already do have, some guys interested in like at that 2.5K range at the tight end position. Well, I can make Josh Allen work because it gives me $6,000 for all those spots, right? I can find ways to. So I'm going to try to make the Josh Allen thing work. But this is always the important thing. Look at the 2v2 or 3v3 off it. That's always the key. Probably will be a 3v3 where like maybe you get an upgrade at running back and receiver, and then you have your other quarterback. You have to decide, is that worth it? So that's something that I'll definitely be looking at. As we get cheaper than Aaron Rodgers and Geno Smith, what sticks out? You could make the case Justin Fields because of his rushing ability. Like the dude's rushing attempts are 8, 14, 12, 8, 7. I mean, gets basically 47 or more yards in every single game rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that alone, that floor could be just enough, like to get the job done, especially on a week where we don't love the quarterbacks. Like, I think you can make the case in tournaments for a bunch of different quarterbacks and say, oh, you could stack with this guy. But I think Justin Fields in cash games should kind of be in the conversation this week, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. Wow. We've come a long way on Justin Fields since like a month ago when he was a complete bust. Hey, I did read an interesting article from one of the Chargers beat reporters. He brought up the fact that the Chargers have had to change their whole offense around now because so many injuries they've had. So no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams, etc. And that's why Austin Eckler is on the precipice of 3 straight games with double-digit catches, and no running back has done that. So it's kind of a transition over to the running back side. But real quick, Mango, when you look at Herbert, I mean, he's playing with a skeleton crew right now. Like, what is the floor with Herbert?
Yeah, the thing that's nice about Herbert, we get him in a dome. We get him against Atlanta too. So these are some pretty ideal situations. I mean, if you look at the game logs, like obviously, like I'm not trying to just sit here and read game logs, but like he did play Denver, right? And that's where he had that 9.42. Jacksonville and Denver weren't as great, but like I don't know, Jacksonville, like they were just that was like right off that injury. It does feel like there's like a lot of just like reasons why like those games were like not as great. Atlanta is like a perfect storm for him, right? It's in a dome. It's a really, really, really bad defense that you can attack. Atlanta has a good enough offense, I think, too, to like be able to move the ball. And I don't know who's going to score as part of the problem with Atlanta, but they have shown that they can actually move the ball on teams and keep enough pressure where it's not the fourth quarter and you're just handing the ball off the entire time. So I do think that Justin Herbert is in play, and Austin Eckler is in play too. I just don't know if Austin Eckler is going to be a priority at running back. That's something that I'm curious to talk about here because he is kind of expensive, and this 6K range has a ton of running backs that we can look at.
Exactly. And that's what we need to get into here. I guess it's more the build hoop. Like, do you want to pay? Is there a wide receiver you could pay up for? Do you want to pay up for Allen? Do we need to go to Austin Eckler again? I mean, this guy's probably got double-digit catches in his back pocket. He is a wide receiver. Getting goal line touches on top of it. So can you start at the top here with Eckler? And is he a guy that we should be throwing into our cash lineups?
So for me, Eckler's a little more of a priority, I think. That's kind of why at quarterback, I'm fine going down. I want to get this guy, especially if Keenan Allen's out, which it kind of seems like he's going to be, right? Like the news is
he's
definitely
out.
trending.
Yeah, he's just about out. And Williams too.
Yeah, so all they have is Eckler, and the floor is just massive. I mean, you look at it. I mean, he's what was the tweet? He's going to be the first running back if he does it this week to have 3 straight weeks with at least 10 receptions.
No one's ever done it.
Yeah, that's very. I'd say even more than viable. Like it's very almost like not likely to happen. But man, 28 targets in 2 games for a running back, and he's going to get the goal line carries. Like the floor is massive. I think that the Denver game is probably his floor, 24 fantasy points in that game. Outside of that, 34, 38, 36. If those guys are out, the matchup's too good for me to pass up. I'm going to find a way to get Eckler in, and that means I probably have to go cheaper at quarterback. And I do agree with the Fields thing. I don't like Fields, but I'd keep him in that conversation. His floor has actually been really high the last few games, and he's looked a little bit better. So I will add him in at quarterback. But Eckler is a priority for me this week in cash games. They're favored by 3 in this dome. The whole offense is basically him. So in on him. ETN also 6.3K. I think a very, very strong option, probably close to like a lock type play in this matchup. And then you have a bunch of different guys that you can kind of mix in. You have, Josh Jacobs in potentially a bounce back spot. Joe Mixon, I like. I mean, Joe Mixon, man, it's been rough sledding, but 6.5K, no Jamar Chase at home as basically a touchdown favorite. Have to consider him at 6.5K. Aaron Jones as well. I mean, 7.4K. He gets the matchup, super safe. Definitely like him way more. If I want exposure to the Packers, I'd get it through him over like Aaron Rodgers. But again, another safe option. But for me, Eckler's going to be a priority. ETN's going to be a priority. And then I think it is probably a 3 running back week. Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, and Josh Jacobs are the next 3 that I'm kind of looking at.
Oof. All right, let's go, Mangone, with Eckler. Now we can talk about him. It's not a guy you're going to force in this week.
Yeah, I'm not forcing him, but like obviously, like I'm looking at him. Like I'm not going to not try and build lineups with him. Just because I think that 6K range like has a lot of good options, and like you can make an argument that like, let's say you have 2 of the 6K guys in there. Aaron Jones could obviously be in play too over an Austin Eckler. That's a really good option. I do think there's way more risk to him for the $1,400. I'd rather go grab Austin Eckler, but it depends on your full lineup. This is why I talked about, like, we'll see what the 2v2s and 3v3s look like. What if I have to drop Josh Allen to gain Austin Eckler? Might be worth it. I have to check that out, right? That's something as we get the news, we're going to find out how much value we're going to have by the time the news dumps over, right? Then Saturday, we'll have the final set of news that comes in Saturday night. That's how we kind of build it out. But I think Eckler's in the conversation, someone that I'm going to look at. Not going to just lock him in there and just move on. Aaron Jones is 7.4K. I think he's in the conversation, though. Like he's like that step down, like I just talked about. I do want to talk about Joe Mixon. Mixon is in play at 6.5, as crazy as it sounds. Just like the floor of like the PPR points he's going to get. And I understand. Like I'm not saying I'm starting a football team today and I'm trying to start with Joe Mixon. What I'm saying is the guy got 9 targets last week with no Jamar Chase. He I feel like his floor he showed was probably the 12.9. I mean, that feels like what the floor could have been. And also playing the Panthers. I do think this Panthers defense is good, but they are favorites, and they're favorites for a reason. I think the game could get a little ugly, but at the end of the day, if Joe Mixon's going to get a lot of volume like that, just that floor is nice, and it's something to think about. I do think Travis Etienne is a better play than Joe Mixon in this range. Like if it was Joe Mixon or Travis Etienne, my answer would be Travis Etienne. I would even say leave the salary on the table because I think he's a better play. Gets to go up against the Raiders. Not a big fan of this Raiders defense. I think they are a team you can attack. It's Etienne's backfield. He's just such a great player. I've been excited to play him. I played him a couple weeks ago. Wanted to play him last week, but obviously it was in the London game, so you couldn't play him on the main slate. 6.3K though. Think he's a really good option. Stevenson has just been printing. It seems like you can go back to the well on him. You never know when it could flip, and Damian Harris could start getting more involved again, right? Or any of these Patriots backs. I know he's questionable, so we'll have to see. I'm assuming he plays. It's just an illness thing. I'm sure he's going to be fine, but if he doesn't play, man, Stevenson would just be a guy that you want to just like jam in there. Kenneth Walker, I don't know if you saw the report on him, but apparently they've said we haven't even cut him loose yet. So imagine when they do cut him loose. Not saying this is going to be the week they cut him loose, but 6.2K, it's an appealing tag for him. I know Jeff Wilson Jr. just got traded to Miami, but I do think Raheem Mostert is in play. I'll put him in the cash game conversation, but I'll admit feels a little more thin just because I do think that you have some unknowns coming with that whole situation. And let's say they are trailing this Miami team, which I don't expect them to be, but you never know. Obviously, he is involved in the pass game, but he's just not as involved in general because you have Tyreek Hill and then Jalen Waddle. So there is some kind of risk to that. Kind of like with Kenneth Walker. Like, I don't think if they're trailing, I don't think Kenneth Walker is as involved until Pete Carroll, cuts him loose, I guess, as the quote I saw this morning when I was waking up, like you, Holden. So yeah, it was definitely something that I was like, wow, if they actually do get him more involved in the pass game, if you told me it was this week, this dude would basically be a lock. We should talk about DeAndre Swift just because we don't have the news on it. If he does not play, but he practiced it on Thursday. I'm assuming he plays. But if he for some reason doesn't play, Jamal Williams would be someone that you just be trying to slam onto your lineup just because of the role that he's going to have at that price tag. So I would definitely like him too. Is there anyone else here? I mean, this is where it gets tough. This is what I was talking about on some of the shows I did this week, the one on Wednesday with you, Holding. Like after 6K, it drops off kind of quick. And because it drops off so quickly, it just makes it where you have to prioritize. If you play 3 running backs, you have to prioritize basically playing 3 guys over 6K. And once you do that, your salary starts running out kind of quick. And that's just the way the algorithm has gotten built out. It wasn't like this in week 1 and 2. At first, we had all these running backs that you can kind of get cheaper with and punt to, and they had all those expensive ones that weren't getting the job done. You had them way priced up. But now you have all these guys that were in that 5K range that we were going to, and now they're like stuck in this like 6K range, and they can't get up to the 8K range because of the way the algo is just set up. So I think you are going to want to pay up for your running backs. And by pay up, I mean you got to go above 6K, it seems like.
You got to go above 6K. All right.
Yeah, so like if you go under 6K, like it's, I don't know. You can maybe grab one, but even that I'm not dying to. Like there's just not guys there that you want to really prioritize in that.
Deion Jackson, if Taylor's out.
Well, yeah, if Taylor's out, Deion Jackson would pop up. That's a good point brought up, Holden. He would pop
he's
up.
Out. I mean, he's not practicing today. His toe is whatever the hell it was. No, that was Michael Thomas with his toe. Anyways, he's got a lower body injury. I think it was an ankle. So if Jonathan Taylor's out, you will throw Deion Jackson in the pool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the one thing I'll say too about the Taylor thing is like the dude like doesn't miss practice. So like the fact that he's missed, like there is a chance he's not playing. I'm trying to think of how. The only thing I'm trying to think of how Bill Belichick will play this, because will he try and stop the run and just force Sam Ehlinger to pass? Probably. So that could be kind of risky, but the guy could be involved in the pass game and he's 5'2". I just wish he was a little cheaper. Like he'll be in the conversation, but won't be like a priority.
Okay. Bill Belichick, by the way, dressing up, his outfit for his press conference today was beautiful. Hoodie, some yellow and green shorts and some flip-flops. I don't know, man. I don't know if he's thrown in the towel on the season. I think it's over.
He's living the dream. That's a great outfit.
He is leaving the dream. And he works in an office. Do you think he's miserable working in an office, though? He probably doesn't have a cubicle.
Yeah. He definitely has his own office. He has probably his own office for sure. Yeah. No
with a bathroom and a couch.
So when I worked back to our old conversation, I worked in an office, but I had my own office, but I had to share it with someone else, which was kind of.
I had the exact same setup. Exact same. I had my own office, but it was side by side with another woman.
Oh yeah,
we had our own room, and
another woman. 2 of us. Did you have a sex change since you worked in the office
with a woman?
It was a bit weird, but it got the job done, I guess.
All right, let me read some stuff from the chat. Hit us up. Like button would be great. I mean, I'm gonna hit the like button right now. Boom. So like button would be great. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is absolutely taken off here. Bottom right-hand corner, there is a red box. It says subscribe. It's got a little sideways triangle, and then you can hit that. What else we got here? Oh my God, this dude card's important. Funniest opening ever, talking about working in an office. I'm dying over here. Oh my God, great stuff. Yeah, again, it would suck for those of you, especially in those cubicle things, right? I worked in one of those for 3 months. Only time I ever worked in an office. It was miserable. Absolutely miserable. Ugh. Deion Jackson just tweeted he hasn't even gotten in his bag yet. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know.
You guys are old. Man, you don't know what that means?
No, what does it mean?
Like, so like getting in your bag means like you're going off or something. You know what I mean? You're having like a big game. Like I got in my bag. Like Kobe dropped 49 tonight. You know, he was in his bag.
Yeah.
Can't keep up with the lingo.
With a bunch of old timers over here.
Bunch of old timers. All right. Well, listen, I'm glad I learned. I'm glad I learned that, because now what we got, and 69
You'd ask
mega.
JSU that on the Up to Lock show. You'd be
Yeah,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
what do you think of Nikola Jokic tonight? You think he'll be in his bag?"
Okay.
JSU probably won't know
I still don't know how to use it, but that's fine. Whatever. There's certain sayings I can get by. Absolutely my fault. 69mega.com. Find love in your town today. Mangone?
They hear your voice and they flock.
Mangone? You want me to go to 69 mega for you?
I don't want to find love in my town because you live a little too close to my town, Holden. I don't know.
All right. Did we talk about Mostert? You did talk about Mostert. So let's move on to wide receiver. Cooper Kupp's got an ankle. Justin Jefferson's 8-6. He hasn't scored since week 1. Let me go check out his game log, because I really think that's the truth, that he hasn't gotten in the box since week 1, and we kind of need him to do that sooner or later. He had 2 in week 1, and he hasn't scored since. So that's something.
Who are you talking about?
Justin Jefferson.
Oh, really? Okay, I was curious because he's pretty good at football.
Tyreek's 8-5, Waddle 7-4. Talk to me about paying up this week. Hoop, is that something we need? Because the guy that I like that's cheap is Terrace Marshall at 3.9. He's getting a lot of love from our PJ Walker. So if we got that, do we have anybody up top we want to go to, or is it Eckler?
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think, to spend up at wide receiver on DK. I mean, there are some good options. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I really like Tyreek Hill again. I mean, just phenomenal what he's doing. A lot of people wrote him off, coming over to Miami, but he's been super steady with the upside. Hopkins has looked really good since returning, but I just don't think we're going to be able to get here, to be honest with you. I think we're going to end up in this mid-tier range, and there is some good options here. The first one is their first couple will be the Seattle guys, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, 6'1" and 6'4", too cheap for those guys. So I think they're both in the cash game conversation. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6'6", I think solid option. Chris Godwin, 6'2", hasn't really had the big game, but you have to imagine that the Bucks are going to get something going here at some point. And Godwin's been fine fantasy wise, just hasn't had the big game. He's 6.2K. So you got 4 options in this low to mid 6K range that I think we can look at. DJ Moore, 5.8K in a trailing game script. I think he's fine as well. So I think we're probably playing some combination of at least 2 of those guys. And then, I don't mind that Terrace Marshall call. Really hadn't looked into him all that much. Another potential cheap option, maybe Zay Jones, 4.1K. It's not a comfortable feeling, that's for sure. But I just don't think we're going to be able to get to that upper tier, the mid 7s and above. I think we're going to have to probably live in the 6K range. Now, if you do want to get up, you're going to immediately be off the Josh Allen builds. You're going to immediately be off the Austin Eckler builds. Like, if you want to spend up probably at just one of these spots, you immediately are taking yourself out of consideration for Eckler and Josh Allen. I'd rather have both of those guys in one of these top wide receivers. So it's going to be this, mid 6 and below for me. I think there's 5 or 6 solid options that I'm going to be looking at. You can even throw Christian Kirk in that mix, 5.5K. I mean, he wouldn't be like a building block type guy, but if I finish my lineup and I'm on Christian Kirk, I'm probably fine with it. T. Higgins at 7.3, that might be pushing a little bit in terms of the price tag, but I expect him to have a good game here as well. So, I guess it's going to probably be some 6K guys, and that's just how roster construction really leads us this week. Yeah. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett around there. Terrace Marshall, by the way, is a guy we played in tournaments the last couple of weeks. I feel pretty comfortable with him now. 86 and 92% of the snaps, Mangone. He had 4 for 87 on 9 targets last week too. He's just a cheap guy you could throw in there, and I think he's going to get a little bit of volume. Who are your cheap guys for cash? Do you have any this week? And then obviously we'll hear the rest of your breakdown.
Oh man, the cheap guys for cash. So for one, once you get below 5K, it starts to get rough. So because you asked about the cheap guys, let's go backwards a little bit. Garrett Wilson at 4.8, I think he's in the conversation. I mean, we have Elijah Moore basically saying that he has no rapport with his quarterback because he won't throw him the ball. We know that Davis is dealing with a knee injury, so we're going to find out what's going to happen.
He's out.
To him. Oh, he's already out. Good. That's great for Garrett Wilson. So obviously have to like that at 4.8. Think he's in the conversation. I will say that they made the Chase Claypool change really quick. Is he like actually like, not saying he's viable for cash games, but normally when they make the trade, the guys, you can't play him really as much, but I guess he's going to be playable this week. So if you want to play him at 4.8, you could. I don't think I need to, but that price is probably going to go up. I do think they're going to use him a lot. When you trade for a guy, you give up that second round pick, you're probably going to, you've shown your hand. You want to actually use someone like that. But I do think Garrett Wilson's my favorite guy at that 4.8 range, if you call that like a salary relief play. I know Zay Jones has not been as great as lately, so I know people might not be as on him. He did have 10 targets against the Giants. I think you could maybe take a chance on him again. I mean, these guys down here, it's not great. You brought up Terrence Marshall seeing 9 targets last week. That's awesome, but that game was like a 37-34 game that interacted really well. Will that happen again here? I mean, yes, I feel confident in attacking the Bengals defense. I'm not scared of that defense, but that is something to think about a little bit. I do like going down cheap for receivers if it just helps make everything work for your lineups. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like you can just punt completely and get like a ton of stuff. So that's a route that you can take. Obviously see if there's anything else that opens up, but there's not a lot here that I'm loving. The one more thing I'll say is on the San Diego side, there's got to be some options. Obviously, like this isn't like a really cheap value, but someone like a Josh Palmer. I mean, Josh Palmer is 5'1". He's going to be a wide receiver 1 at 5.1K. Like, it's hard to argue with that. He's going to be a really good option. Carter at 4.3, he's going to be in the combo. I think you could definitely play him. I don't trust a lot of the other guys, though. Like, Bandy's someone I don't really trust completely. I think it'd just be Palmer or Carter for me. And hold on, we're going to just keep going, basically backwards. So we're going to go up from here. And the guy I really want to discuss is, I want to talk about DJ Moore at 5'8". I mean, he's going to probably be way more expensive as the season goes on. I mean, the targets are there, 11, 10, 7, 8, 11. Some of those were with Robbie Anderson there. Now he's just the wide receiver 1. This is a good spot against Cincinnati. I really like DJ Moore at 5'8". I think he's one of the stronger cash game plays here on this slate. Especially on DraftKings. FanDuel, it's a little tougher sometimes when you have to worry about the touchdown equity, and they priced him up more, but at 5'8", he's a great play. Christian Kirk at 5'5", not going to ignore him. I think you could definitely play him. The only thing that sometimes I get worried about is like, if I'm playing Etienne, do I need to play Christian Kirk? Like, this isn't like an all-in jam spot of the Jaguars or something like that. But I think 5'5", it's an interesting price tag to look at for sure. Is Alan Lazard in? I assume he is. He was limited.
He's been practicing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So we're not going to be dying to play Romeo Doubs. As you kind of get a little bit higher up, I think I heard Hoop talk about Chris Godwin, and I know I haven't played Godwin as much as I thought I was going to this week, but he has been safe and consistent. And if he finally gets in the end zone, but the problem is you have to bet on Tom Brady getting that job done. And I don't know. I think that Tampa Bay Rams game could be a little bit uglier than people want it to be. So I'm really not dying to get to that. Oh, this is another point to bring up too this week. All the games, I don't know if you saw it, but we have 8 games in the 1 o'clock window, and then we got 2 in the 4 o'clock window, which one, absolutely brutal from a watching experience. I think I'm going to take a nap. I think a nap is going to kick in at 4 o'clock because I don't feel like watching those other games. And then swapping wise, like what are you going to do swapping this week? Like there's just like, yes, if you have the ability to, sure. But like the slate's kind of over almost at that after the first couple of games. Yes, you have Seattle and Arizona lurking. It's a pretty good game. So I wouldn't say it's completely over, but it's not one of those spots where there's a lot of things to swap doing cash games, or like if there's like a 1v1, it's tough to be like, let me take this guy because then I have this swap to another one that's not bad. Like your swaps are probably not going to be great. So that's something to think about a little bit if you're grinding out the cash games really hard and those head-to-heads as well. Sometimes you got to make swaps off of things if you're already beat in a 3v3. Tyler Lockett in that 4 o'clock window at 6-1. I think he's interesting that you can go to. And then there's Metcalf if you want to play the guessing game. Amon St. Brown at 6'6". I think he's in the conversation. But he does have like a worse floor than I think people realize. Like it's just the price is good though. And part of me thinks, should I just grab Gabe Davis instead at 6.9K? And one reason I'm thinking
for
that
cash?
is, I mean, they're going to put up points, right? I mean, I don't think you can grab like can you grab a top end receiver this week? That's one of the things I'm trying to think through. Like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to grab one of those just like baller receivers and move on. So
okay,
if you do live in the 6K range, and let's say you live there for like 2 players, I think if you had to pick 2 guys in the 6K range, you can make a case for Gabe Davis. It sounds gross. I get it. Like the volume doesn't feel as great and everything, but they're going to put up points this week. They're going to get touchdowns. So I don't know. I'd consider it. It sounds crazy, but I don't think it's the worst idea. It gets hard when you get above 7K because I just don't think I'm going to pay 7.3 for T. Higgins. Waddle 7.4 against the Bears. I'm not dying to get there. If I did go up in this range, I think the guys I'm looking at are DeAndre Hopkins at 7.9, or it'd probably be Stephon Diggs at 8.4. And I do have like the fear of what if the Bills get up 21-0? And then like, is Diggs gonna be able to pay off that tag? And you do have that fear with the Gabe Davis too. But they are going to put up probably like 30 real life points, right? Touchdowns are going to be scored. And on a week where there's not a lot of touchdowns, you can make a case for it. And maybe the Gabe Davis idea is better on FanDuel, right? Just because of what PPR can be over on a site like DraftKings. That probably is the case. But point I'm getting at is, yes, I like these receivers up top. They're great. I love the names, but in cash games this week, I just don't see these guys fitting the construction as much. And I see it as grabbing like a Josh Palmer, a DJ Moore, and then maybe grabbing one receiver in the 6K range. That's kind of how I'm seeing maybe the construction gets built out.
Okay. Let's remind everybody, like button would be great, even if you're not watching live. We'd love that. Garrett Wilson, ? Again, I just think a lot of these guys are more tournament plays than just cash plays. We're just throwing them out, right? Hoop. I mean, you're looking at it going like that. Yeah. So Gabe Davis and cash. I mean, the upside's definitely there. I think he's gonna be popular in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, get you exposure to the, probably highest scoring projected team on the slate.
Mhm.
So I mean, from that standpoint, it makes sense. But I guess the overall mindset, I think that me and Mangone both share is it's going to be hard to spend up at wide receiver this week. You're going to be sacrificing a lot. So mid sixes and below is where we're going to be.
Yeah, we would like to spend at wide receiver, Hoop. Like if I can get Justin Jefferson, yeah, I would take it. But like it's not like last week where like you stared at the prize, like you stared at like the salaries and you're like, oh, Tyreek Hill against Detroit, like you're just gonna take him. Like it just and like maybe some more value opens up where that's the case. Like if a 3K value opens up at receiver, will that change? Maybe, and I'll be able to grab one of these guys, sure. But also, I'm not dying to grab them. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get there in tournaments, and that doesn't mean it's not a great tournament construction, but we're talking cash games. And when it comes to the cash game conversation, when you grab one of these top-end receivers this week, it is going to hurt too much of your full lineup.
Yep.
All right. I was just alerted. Adrian Peterson set the single game rushing record with 296 yards 15 years ago today. Can you guess the team he did it against?
The Lions.
No.
Was it? I could have swore it was the Lions. No.
My guess is I'm going to go with Packers.
The Chargers, and they still can't stop the run. 15 years later.
Game, a different massive game, but not that big because I know
15.
Wow.
15 years, and the fucking Chargers still cannot stop the run. All right, man, I'll throw you a bone.
Hold on, that's another guy I can hang his photo up. He's a great human being as well.
Yeah, you should have the wall of shame behind you.
Get a nice AP picture up. I don't know if it's better to have the Vikings one or the Redskins one.
Definitely the Vikings one. Because everything went down when he was with the Vikings. I'll go to you like I always do. Tight end, Mangone first. I mean, come on, it's so wide open. Can we trust Kyle Pitts in cash? Do we go down to Tyler Conklin at 3.2, who every freaking week since Joe Flacco and now Wilson and Mike White was in there, he went nuts last week. He had 10 targets. He had 6 the week before. Is there any reason to pay up for the Ertz?
Yeah, I mean, well, Conklin hasn't done anything in a while, but he popped off. 3.2, I don't mind. I like punting tight end this week, so it's got to kind of be somewhat in the conversation. You'd be crazy to see me pay 5.1 for Zach Ertz in my cash games. If I play Zach Ertz at 5.1 in my cash games, that means someone funded my contest. I'm not, and they said you have to play Zach Ertz this week because I'm not planning on playing Zach Ertz, so I'm out on that. TJ Hawkinson, 5K with Minnesota. Tight end in a new situation. No, this is just not a week to spend up at tight end. It's not. I mean, you could make a case for Pitts, but I even think that's not worth it. Maybe you could talk yourself into Tonyan, but again, I even think that I don't need to get to. Where I start getting interested is I'm like, Hayden Hurst at 3.6, like maybe a Higbee at 3.7, Dawson Knox 3.5. I don't hate those. Evan Ingram's targets have been solid. I wouldn't hate him at 3.3K. So I think he's kind of interesting, but I think that like low 3K range is going to be an interesting spot where a lot of us are living in that range. Now this is where it's going to get really interesting, Holden. So I'm gonna throw out a name that I've heard talked about a little bit in the industry this week, right? I was kind of thinking it was going to be this Brock Wright guy for Detroit, but I heard it could be this James Mitchell guy instead. Sounds like a pretty talented athletic guy. I don't know who the Detroit tight end is going to be, right? I don't know, but there's talks of this guy, James Mitchell, is going to get the increased playing time. The reason when we did our first look show, I talked about Brock Wright is because last year, what happened when Hockenson was out? We played Brock Wright. Like, he was a guy that was like, we played once last year. This James Mitchell guy, though, is getting talked up as getting more increased snaps. And I don't know. I think one of these Lions tight ends at 2.5 can just do a lot for your lineup. So I'm thinking about playing a 2.5K tight end and
Dude,
just being
Mitchell,
one of the Lions.
You know what, man? Mitchell's not the worst call.
I'm really telling you, Mitchell sounds like a guy that they want to get involved. Like,
do you want to know what the quote was? Dan Campbell, by the way. Again, any of you that thought the Lions were going to win this year, you're watching Hard Knocks. That was your problem.
Yeah. People they literally had massive erections for the Lions going into the season. Like,
you're watching Hard Knocks, and like, you used to play sports as a kid, and like he was like your Pop Warner football coach that would like scream at you and like make you run suicides. Like, I love that coach too, man. Shout out to Coach Johnson. You're the man.
All right.
How many years in a row are the Lions going to be everyone's sneaky team before they realize they just always fucking suck? Like, how much longer is this going to go on for? Because it's every season.
You need a quarterback, and Jared Goff ain't it.
Yeah,
like, he's not. I mean,
all right. So, anyways, Campbell talk about James Mitchell getting more snaps with TJ Hockenson out. We think he's ready for that. And this dude's fast. He's built like a brick shithouse, man. I still think Khalif
he's Taysom Hill 2.0, right? He's going to be a gadget guy.
I still think Khalif Raymond's probably going to be the guy that's going to benefit most. But if you want to go to Stone Mim, there you go.
I just want to put my tight end because like I don't want to play Zach Ertz at 5-1 and any of these.
Of course.
Like, it's just what it does for my full lineup. The extra upgrade it's going to get me. I mean, like I said, you put in Josh Allen, you put in James Mitchell, and you put in a defense that's at like 2.5, 2.6, and we don't love defense this week or any week. You have 6K or more for all your spots. And if you play Josh Palmer at 5-1, right? You plug in DJ Moore at 5.8. I'm already getting more money by doing that, right? Like, it's starting to go up. So, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
Hoop, tight end sucks.
Yeah, it's I guess even like very similar to last week where they're forced to pay down. I guess we even had Kittle last week that was somewhat tempting, but it's just cheap guys. Darren Waller, if he's out, I think we can just go back to Moreau as well at 3.2K. Kyle Pitts at 4.5. Fine with him. I mean, in what could be a trailing game script, they finally got it going with him last week. I don't hate him. He's probably the most expensive. I'd go Ingram, Tanyan, fine options, Higbee. I'd go to Brock Wright too at 2.5K. I think it's one of those really clear situations like Brock Wright in cash games and maybe even tournaments, but then make sure you get exposure to the other dude. What's his name again? Williams. That other tight end you guys were just talking about for the Lions. Mitchell. Why is it? Yeah. Mitchell. So Mitchell in tournaments for sure. More people will obviously go to Brock Wright. I'm fine playing both of them in tournaments, but Mitchell will be much lower owned. Yeah, I don't know. Conklin as well, 3.2K, probably a little bit safer than Brock Wright. Knox, Mango mentioned Knox, a way to get exposure to the Bills. Just a wide open position. I mean, if Waller's ruled out, I probably will end up just playing Moreau at 3.2K. If he's not, I'll just grab one of those other guys. It's just nothing's very clear. I'll just see what I have left and pick the best option.
Yeah, one thing to mention too is when you're looking at these like cheap tight ends, like look at the 2v2 and 3v3. Like the way I talked about Mitchell there, it sounded like I was just like locking him into moving him on. I won't be doing that. Like I'll be seeing like, oh, let me look at Mitchell versus Moreau. What is that upgrade going to get me? Is it worth it? If it's not, then yeah, I'm going to go to the 3-3 range instead, and just like kind of play these tight ends. So that's the key thing when it comes to punting tight end is like, you need to understand, does that salary get you an extra thing? Maybe that gets me Austin Eckler, right? Maybe I'm trying to jam in Josh Allen and Austin Eckler and just punting the tight end gets me there. Maybe I just can't do it through the other route. Well, then that's going to be a viable way to do it so I can get everything that I want into my lineups.
All right, guys. I think that'll do it for our show here because we don't care about just go read the playbook this week.
No, I have one defensive take.
Oh boy.
One defensive take. Yeah, buckle up.
Just pay up all the way to the top.
Pay down. Panthers D is 2.3K. Yes, they're on the road, but it's Joe Burrow with a bad offensive line. This Panthers team is actually a good defense. Not saying that I think that this Bengals team is going, like the Panthers are going to shut the Bengals out, but I'm just saying for 2-3, you're probably going to be gaining like, I don't know, 3 or 4 sacks. Maybe you run into a turnover or two. I just think the Panthers D at 2-3 is definitely going to be a team that I'm looking at this week.
Okay. Very good. A little cheap action there. I'm back on the Panthers, by the way, for the second straight week, just backing them on the betting side. They're going to stay close. PJ Walker is not a exciting quarterback or anything. He's pretty inaccurate, but he's kept him in these games with the defense. So,
and shout out to the old XFL, which the XFL Holden is coming back in February. So buckle up.
I thought it was done.
We got no, it's coming back. The Rock is running it, and we'll have the good news is it's in February too. It's not like randomly like placed like in like May after the draft. Like I'm curious to see how it shakes out. I wonder if like I don't know how like I haven't read that much into it, but I wonder if players from like college that like want to up their draft stock can like jump in February and play. I'm not sure how that works, but
if that happened, I'd watch.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be cool if like there's like guys that are like, man, I'm a quarterback that's looking to be like a 6th round pick. Like, let me up my stock. I could be like completely wrong about this, but I hope that's the case. It would be cool if you have like all these kids just jumping up to play and increase some of their stock.
All right. Very good. Hoop, wonderful to see you. Have fun with the Leafs. Well.
Thanks.
Mangone, wonderful to see you. I really think you should put criminals up there behind you though. Just get the Favre picture back up there.
Yeah.
You know, Adrian Peterson would be good. I don't think he's criminal enough though.
Yeah, I mean, he maybe he gets like a small picture and he doesn't get the big one.
I mean, the Hall of Fame is obviously OJ Simpson. I think you throw Brett Favre now. So there's some good ones, some good ideas. Maybe there's some OJ Simpson wallpaper.
Have you ever watched OJ? Have you ever seen OJ Simpson's Twitter much, Holden?
No, he blocked me.
Wait, we gotta get. Why did he block you? You went out
because I kept saying horrible things about him murdering people.
Oh.
And then his lawyer threatened me. He's like, "We're gonna block you if you don't do it." And I was like, "Fuck OJ." And then the next thing I know, no, he goes, "You're gonna regret it." That's what he said. He goes, "If you keep this up, you're gonna regret it." And I'm like, "What am I gonna regret? Is OJ gonna come stab me?" And then that was the end of it.
Oh yes, we forgot Ray Rice. That's another one I can.
Yeah, Ray Rice is a good one. Ray Lewis,
Kareem Hunt. Allegedly. I can get Kareem Hunt's a current player.
Yeah,
Tyreek.
Well, you already have the Favre picture though, so that's that's an easy one. We'll figure out the rest of your wallpaper. But yeah, OJ does not like me. Screw him. Anyways, for Hoop and Mangone, I'm Holden. Helmet, get us out of here.